Okay. Just taking a look at the list to see who we have in the audience. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This is our second summer series learning event. Today, we're going to be talking about wealth management, how to build and preserve your wealth. I got some really intriguing and smart and intelligent people who are in the financial industries profession who are going to give us some strategies and some inside straight talk on how do we build wealth and how do we manage and maintain that wealth. Give people a couple more minutes to roll in. Okay, we got 21 people here. Awesome. Okay, so first, I just want to, again, welcome everybody to our summer series learning session. My name is Nelson Davey. I'm the treasurer at the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce. I'm also president and founder of Hudson Benefits Consulting. We're an employee benefits consulting firm to businesses in the Washington, D.C. area. So first, I just want to start off, to thanking the MBCC for hosting this. We've been doing a lot of thought on how we can put together programming that's impactful to the Maryland business community. So the first thing I want to do is I want to find out who in the audience is an MBCC member. So we're going to have a quick poll. We're going to do a quick poll number one, and see who in here is an MBCC member. Go ahead and launch that poll, Melissa, for us. Are we getting it? Did it launch?
Yeah.
Thumbs up if you got the poll. Oh man, I don't get to participate, but okay. Are you seeing the results, Melissa? How long does it take to? Now I know the questions are. Don't you hate when they guilt you in the questions? They're like, are you an MBCC member? Yes or no. I don't want to help the Black community. So I just wanted to throw a little guilt trip in there on you guys to become a member. There's a lot of good things we're doing. I think while we wait, Ken, I wanted to introduce you to our president, as we like to call our fearless leader, Ken White. Let me go ahead and spotlight Ken. Ken, can you introduce yourself and just talk about some of the great things that we're doing as a chamber? Let me spotlight for everyone just so you can see some of the great things we're doing as a chamber, and introduce yourself to the attendants.
Great. Thank you, Nelson. My name is Ken White, and I'm the board chair for the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce. My day job is I'm a commercial banker with Sandy Spring. I'm senior vice president with Sandy Spring Bank, located in Montgomery County. The chamber is up and very active. Thank you to the Financial Industries Committee for our summer series. This is event number 2 of 4. And following the summer series, they'll be rolling out a year-long program. And so we're looking forward to that. In addition, we are about to embark on a really busy year for the chamber and for our members. I think by the time we roll this out, I think we'll be having at least 2 events a month, probably for the next year through June 30th of next year. We're bringing to you everything from doing business with the county, doing business with the state, doing business with the federal government. We're doing a boot camp for starting a business. We're doing a legal boot camp. We have our Back to Business event coming up. We have our annual meeting coming up. We have our Leadership Academy starting in January. So like I said, we've been real busy. Our board and our committees have been strategizing and putting programming together for you guys. So I'm really looking forward to a very full year of programming for our group. And with that, thank you, Nelson. Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Quasi. And anybody else is on the Financial Industries Committee that I did not thank. Thank you for the summer series. Thank you for this session, and look forward to the following sessions. And hope to see everybody at our networking event this evening at the Westin and at National Harbor.
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, so good segue, Ken. Thanks for that. That is the next thing I wanted to touch on was to this evening. Let me go ahead and share so everyone who hasn't been able to see that yet. Can you guys see that? So this is the networking event this evening. This is a chance to meet all of our panelists in person. As he mentioned, this is a great time for the chamber. We've been doing a lot of work. We're still a very young chamber, but we've been really putting in the work. Our leadership team has been doing a lot of connecting and, connecting with the right
Nelson,
people.
we're not seeing your screen, Nelson. You're sharing your screen, but we're not seeing the flyer.
Let me do it again. Thanks.
If you have multiple monitors, maybe you need to pull it over to one monitor or the other.
Let's do it this way. Let's do, there it goes right here. Can you guys see that? But that's
Now you got it.
Yes.
A nice
right.
flyer it is.
So that's wealth management. That's what we're in right now. Here we go. Do you guys see that?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So this is a great time to join the chamber. If you're not a member of the chamber, I highly suggest you become a member. Go to our website, www.marylandbcc.org. That's Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce, marylandbcc.org. We're going to be doing a lot. This is a good time to become a member. A lot of things are going on. And if you're in the financial services industry, please become a member, connect with us, and join we're calling it a committee right now, just because we're in the formal process of making an actual affinity group of the chamber. We have about a large swath of our membership are in the financial services industry profession. We're very crucial in supporting businesses, and I think it's an important key to the success of Black business in the state of Maryland. So if you can go to our Eventbrite, the link is right there. If you don't, you can use your phone right now and just scan the QR code, and that should take you to our Eventbrite to log in for tonight. I'm telling you this, if you go, they gave us the ability to invite all of our guests. So if you go ahead and find me on LinkedIn and connect with me, I could say that you're my guest, and then you can get in for free. Otherwise, it's going to be $15 for non-members. And this is one of the benefits of becoming a member, is to join the chamber, so you can get access to stuff like this. So real quick, just wanted to say thank you to our sponsors. Let me switch over to the one for this one. So real quick, thanks to our sponsors. Most important, like we said, our leadership have been, partnering with some people who want to see Black businesses do good in the state of Maryland. And one of our first and major sponsors is the County of Montgomery County. They just want to thank them for their support. I want to say thank you to Butler Squared Consulting, Nancy Alert, which is going to be one of our speakers today, Wolf Training Academy. Thank you so much for Sandy Spring Bank for their support in supporting the MBCC. They're a big supporter of ours. They've been since the beginning, so we just want to say thank you to them. Fed Legacy, one of our speakers is the owner of Fed Legacy. Gold Law Firm, Hudson Benefits Consulting was the company I own, and the agency over in the National Harbor, Brandy Bridget is another one of our speakers. So thank you to everyone. Can I see the poll results? I don't know if I could. Melissa, I hate to put you on the spot, but I can't see the poll results. Can you just tell me how many of the people how much of the audience we have are actual MBCC members? I can't see the poll, so.
Right now it says that 0% have voted.
Oh, man.
I voted.
Okay. All right. Well, something's probably wrong with the poll. I think it disabled because I think we're both logged in, Melissa. So we'll get that right. Just give me a thumbs up if you are an MBCC member. Just put a thumbs up in the chat if you are an MBCC member. So maybe we don't have any of our members in. That's probably why. Thumbs up in the chat if you're a member. Okay, I see one. Okay, no, we got some members in here. All right, well, so if you're not a member, this is the perfect time to become a member. Let me just go around and I'll talk about some of our speakers here. Most of the people on our panel today were the visionaries for putting together this summer series event and the Financial Services Committee. I'm going to go around the room and give everyone a chance to, and what I want you guys to do is just introduce yourself, tell us something interesting about yourself so that all of our attendees can know something. Brandy, I'm going to spotlight everyone for you. And why don't you go ahead and start? Ladies first, of course. And why don't you tell us something about yourself?
All right, you guys, good afternoon. Thanks for being, or still good morning. I'm see the day is rushing. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Brandy Bridget, founder of the agency. And one thing most people don't know about me, I was a previous military wife, so a Gold Star Wife of America, now a widower, and I have 3 kids.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Brandy. So she's going to have some insight. Again, she's the owner of the agency at the Harbor. So our next panelist is, let's go over to Nancy. Nancy, I'm going to go ahead and highlight you. She's been great in helping us get a insight into real estate development. Okay, go ahead, Nancy. All right, you're on. We're not hearing you yet, Nancy.
It's because I'm muted. There I
All right,
am.
awesome.
Hi, I'm Nancy Allard. I'm a real estate broker. And what most people don't know about me is I am the first to graduate from college in my family.
Awesome. I didn't know that. Okay. And then next we have, let's go to you, Kwesi Robotham. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone?
Sure thing, Nelson. I appreciate it. My name is Kwesi Robotham, founder, managing director of Kingstown Advisors. I think what most people don't know about me is that I was born overseas in Ghana. So I'm technically an immigrant. And I also went to university overseas in Montreal.
Awesome.
I'm glad to be here. Excited to be here.
Thanks. We're glad to have you. And last, but certainly not least, is a good friend of mine, and also another board member and a vice president of the board of directors is Will Smith. Will, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone?
All right, hey, how y'all doing? My name is William Smith. I'm gonna give y'all 2 interesting things about me. I'm the CEO of Fed Legacy. We do benefits for federal employees, right? And life insurance, retirement, things like that. 2 things. This weekend, I participated and came in 2nd place in a bocce ball tournament. It was my first time playing. So that is a fun game if y'all have not played it. So that's something interesting. And number 2, our company this year was the first African-American company to represent GPM Life as an insurance broker, as the #1 company that did production for them this year. And that was a win for us, as being the #1 company and the first African-American company to lead. So that was good for us.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Will. And he's, his company, I know for a fact that, well, since we're there, let's just start with you. Because I know you personally, and I know you guys have a mention that always really impacted me. But I want you to talk about, what brought you to the industry, and what is specifically, like, what's your mission, your company's mission?
Well, what brought me to it was watching my parents struggle so much while I was in college. When I was in college, I went to University of Maryland. I met Nelson. I first went to CUC, which is Columbia Union College, which is a 7-year school in Tacoma Park, private education school. It crushed my parents financially, right? Then I went to the University of Maryland. It was a lot cheaper, but there I got to see like the differences in wealth between our people. And since I'm gonna say our, since this is the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
So when I say our, I mean us. I got to see the difference in wealth between our people and other races. I had never seen that before because I went to Black schools my whole life. I'm growing up in Prince George's County, and at that same time, my parents were struggling, and so I just said I gotta find the answers. And I remember one time I was talking to an Indian kid, and we were in a statistician class, I think it was stats, something like that. And we were in study hall together, and he was just talking about, and we were having such candid conversation. And I asked him, I said, how do y'all own all the subways? Like, how do y'all do that? Like, what's the thing? And he was just like, man, we buy life insurance on our people, and we pass it on. Like we buy it on the oldest people in our family. and we passed the wealth down. And mind you, this kid is like 19 years old, and he understands how wealth is built within his line. Now we were just joking a lot, but he was, he did have the answers, and I didn't have those type of answers being passed down. And so I spent the next couple of years just studying, just wealth creation and how it's done. And I looked at like, what's the lowest hanging fruit in this area, the DMV? And what I began to notice is like, as far as federal employees, there is, the largest, I would say, demographic of Black middle class comes from the federal market, right?
That's
So I was
true.
like, if I can educate them, I could make a dent in the racial wealth gap. And so I just put a lot of time into educate myself around what their benefit package was, and some of the holes in what they were doing, and built a company around it.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I remember the first time you shared with me you wanted to put $1 million worth of wealth into the Black community through policies every week. And I would say, I think you probably hit that goal. So proud to see you. Next, Nancy Allaire, why don't you tell us a little bit about what brought you into real estate and what's the mission of your company? Let me go ahead and spotlight you so everyone can see. Go ahead.
So okay, I am so sorry. I'm still trying to
We
unmute
can-
myself.
No, you're muted. You're unmuted. We can
I'm
hear you.
unmuted? Okay.
Yeah.
So what brought me to real estate, to be really, really honest with you, when I started 26 years ago, it was about the money. It was about, I need to find a profession where I can make as much money as I want. I can have my own time. That's a myth anyway, having your own time, and do whatever I want to do. So 26 years ago, I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do because I'll be able to make a lot of money. But 26 years later, it's the people that has kept me in this business as a realtor. So I started out just wanting to sell homes to people and sell their homes so they can move on to what their next stages in life. But then several years ago, I would say 2009 is when it changed the reason I do what I do. When the real estate market crashed, it literally jumped off the cliff and dragged me with it. Then I had to reassess. I had to start over. And at that time is when I went into the education mode and decided there's got to be a different way. And there has to be a way to, when you make money, to make sure you keep it. Because the problem of making money, a lot of people can make a lot of money. A lot of people in this area make a lot of money. It's keeping the money is what the problem was. And so I did a lot of research, a lot of learning, and that's when I decided for my people and for me, multi-units was the way to create wealth. Multi-unit was the way, if you were going to invest in real estate, that you were truly going to be able to sustain. You're going to be able to keep your money when you make it and not lose it and pass on to generations. So because of what happened in the real estate market, it's pushed me to this point where I am, where I teach people how to truly create wealth with multi-units.
Awesome. Thank you. Kwesi, what about you? Tell us a little bit about Kingstown Advisors and the mission and what it is that brought you to the industry.
Yeah, well, as a company, our mission is to help affluent business owners and executives grow and preserve their wealth, right? That's what we do professionally. But personally, my mission really is to help people accomplish who they're meant to be. I had a mentor of mine say to me years ago that, look, you're never truly able to express who you're meant to be in the world as long as money is a concern in your life. And at that point in time, when we had that discussion, I had no intention of being in the financial services industry. I'm actually an engineer by profession. I worked for the first half of my career in management consulting. But what set me on this path, Nelson, and everyone else listening, is in 2011 in July, we sat down. My wife and I, we've got 3 boys, and we sat down and we were doing a mid-year review with our financial planner, looking at our portfolio. Well, 2011, we're still coming out of the financial crisis. We're still in a recession. And my 401k is bleeding money. My wife is active duty Air Force. Her TSP was losing money. And I had one simple question for the guy. I said, look, I don't like being exposed to all this risk. The specific brand of management consulting that I did was risk management. And so I had one question for him. I said, look, do you have any other alternatives? And his response to me was, well, we can look at rebalancing your portfolio, a different allocation of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. And I realized then and there that either he didn't know any other alternatives, or he didn't think we had a high enough net worth to qualify for the special sauce information that he
Gotcha.
reserved for his A clients. And I decided then and there in that moment, I was still doing management consulting, still in the engineering field, but I decided then and there I was going to figure out how money works, how we could grow and preserve our wealth without all the loss of the market. And so that's kind of what set me on the path, a little bit of backstory to how I got to where we are today.
Awesome. Awesome. I must admit, having conversations with you, it did open my eyes as to another area of that I don't think we're familiar to, and that's the family office. And I'm gonna actually speak a little bit about that later to introduce that to our guest. Next, Brandy, like, you know, I love your idea of the agency. Can you tell us a little bit more about your firm and what is the mission and what brought you to the industry?
Yep, I sure can. So I have been surrounded probably by the financial services industry my entire life and just really did not understand that. My dad has always been an entrepreneur for myself and my sisters. And I would hear him on the phone late at night talking to individuals. I would see him leave out with his leather briefcase, talking to people, and I never really thought much of it. You know, one day as I was getting older, I heard him talking about life insurance and you know, a death benefit. And I was like, ew, that's so boring. I don't know how my dad does it. You know, this is something that I'll never do in life, you know. So I ended up going to school, getting 2 degrees from the University of Maryland in business administration and criminal justice, and always thought I was going to go into the government and get that good old government job. My high school sweetheart then asked me to marry him. He went into the Marine Corps. We had 2 babies I call them pre and post deployment babies, because they were in the midst of 6 deployments in 6.5 years. This was when Iraq, Afghanistan was in the heat of things. 6.5 years later, my husband got he got medically retired from the military, and we thought we were going to stay in California. Life was going to be great. I then had a major accident. I broke both bones in my left ankle while I was pregnant with the last surprise baby, and ended up having to move back home to Washington, D.C. And I thought, you know, well, this isn't that bad. You know, we'll finally start to be able to live life because he's always been gone. You know, we've never had a chance to be together. And so for 8 months, we started rebuilding ourselves. I started going through rehab, finally, you know, had the baby. And one day my husband went to work and he never came back. He was killed in a car accident. And at that time, the kids were 5, 4, and 4 months old. And many times as a military spouse, you'll hear, oh, well, the military is going to take care of you. Oh, you'll be okay, at least financially. And when I called the Marine Corps on that Monday morning, they told me that they never filed the insurance paperwork. So there was no life insurance for us. And so then that's when I realized that I had to take my mess and turn it into something greater. And so I wanted to figure out, what did I not know that I should have known as a person, as a parent, as a wife. And so I carried on that mission. And about 3 years later, I was reintroduced into the insurance industry. And the new wave of what it can do. You know, so much of what Will and Kwesi have said today is what really opened my eyes at that point. And so I got into the industry. I went and I told my dad he had to come out of retirement and we had to do this thing together. And so we're a father-daughter duo here at the Harvard.
Awesome.
And now we oversee about 700 agents across the country.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's really inspiring. I didn't know the full length of that story. So thanks for sharing that. So, you know, this forum is really about, you know, honest talk that we're talking amongst each other to give our members and our guests like insight into the conversations that a lot of us have. I've learned things from each one of our panelists, whether they know it or not, just by hearing them talk as we're planning and strategizing to put this event out. I've learned a little bit a little bit about all of their businesses and all of their business strategies. But I wanted to go around and ask each one of you, and let's start with you, Nancy. What's one principle that you believe is important for business owners to know? Whether you're new to business, whether you've been in the game a long time, what's one valuable business principle you think business owners should know in regards to building wealth and preserving their wealth?
What I think is for business owners, for you to either maintain, sustain, or scale your business, there's one thing that you have to do. You have to collaborate. If you're not collaborating with others, you're not going to be able to scale your business. You have to be on other people's stages in order for their network to see you and for you to grow. So a lot of people think that I don't want to work with that person, or I just want to do this by myself. You can't do it by yourself. You can only get to so far doing it by yourself, but in order to scale and take it to the next level, you have to collaborate. Just choose wisely who you're collaborating with.
That's really good advice. And, you know, it's sometimes when we do have successes, I realize that there's a lot of time we overlook the part that other people play, but really people say they're self-made. I don't believe that at all, right? There's nobody who gets to where they are just by going by themselves. So I really love that. So collaboration. Will, why don't you share, I think you have a lot of insight on how to be successful as business. Why don't you share one principle that you believe is important to business owners that business owners should know?
Document everything. Systems are so important. If you don't have systems in your business, you'll be a one-man or one-woman shop, for a long time. Like, systems is where you got to start. Document every single process so that you can grow. It's a principle for me.
Yeah, and I've actually seen you put this into practice. I've seen you scale and grow your business. I remember when you were just starting to do it. And I think it's one of the biggest challenges for our business owners is how do they go from CEO, chief everything officer to really just focusing in on their business. So I appreciate that. Kwesi, what is one business principle that you think is important for our business owners to build and preserve wealth?
Yeah, that's a great question, Nelson. And in the context of growing and preserving wealth as a business owner, in my opinion, the idea of separating your business from what you do personally falls short of what you should be doing. In other words, I hear people a lot say this phrase, it's oh, don't worry, it's business, it's not personal. Well, having built 2 or 3 other companies, it was always personal. I put my heart, blood, sweat, and tears into those businesses. And I don't know anyone now that's running a business that founded it that hasn't done the same. The question is, though, how do you make sure that you get rewarded along the way as a business owner for putting that time, effort, and energy into your enterprise? And so you have to have some additional processes that allow you to extract the wealth that the engine that your business is allows you to extract that wealth along the way. So you don't wake up 65, 70 years old thinking that the sale of your business is going to provide for the rest of your life. There's a lot of life to live once you step away from the helm, once you step away from the wheel, right? So how do you make sure that you've captured and get rewarded for that work? And that's what we do as a family office. And maybe we could talk a little bit about that later, Nelson, but as a family office, making sure that there's a holistic integrated process to allow you to grow the business, but then extract and capture the wealth along the way.
No, that's key. I think you're right. I think people do feel like it's 2 separate things. Like you can compartmentalize that. Okay, I'll do great in business, and I don't have to pay attention to my personal life. My finances can be, horrible in my personal life, but I can manage finance as well. So I think you're right. I think you have to be holistic. I think you can't compartmentalize being great. So thank you for that. Brandy, why don't you next give us one principle that you feel like is important for business owners that they need to remember when building wealth?
I think it's community, right? Really getting into the community and talking to your elected officials, understanding what their principles are, letting them make sure that they understand who you are in the community. Understanding what nonprofits are around you and how you can build a service-based business and give back, because if you are focused in on community as a business owner, as one of your principles and pillars, then automatically the community is going to resonate with that and then be able to come back and bring business. And that's the cycle of life. So being community driven, I think, is one major aspect.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think, start where you are, right? I was just telling my son this morning, he wants to build a YouTube channel. And I'm like, if you don't promote your business with your community first, right? Provide that, send it to your friends and family, then, the rest of the world is not going to be willing to accept it. So I think that's a very important principle. I know each one of you guys are very important in the financial services. We're talking about business owners and how they build legacy. Could you tell us, and Brandy, we can start with you. Can you tell us how are you and your business helping others build legacy for them and their families?
So we initially started off just in the life insurance realm because we understand that people, they hear that word, they run the other way. They don't know what it can do while they're living. So that has been our main mantra for several years, and it really still is that foundational block. But like Kwesi mentioned, the idea of a community family office, I think, is very important in everyday communities. So we have now spawned off over the last 12 months to incorporate in a state attorney in-house. So now individuals can understand not just, okay, I put a beneficiary here, I'm ready to go. And then once they pass away, they still have to have their house in probate and other things. How to really fully solidify from beginning to end and make it a smooth transition from generation to generation, because people don't realize Uncle Sam is lurking at all aspects. He's telling you, tax me now. He's created all these wonderful ideas on how to tax you later in these tax deferred accounts. And then once you passed away, he's like, listen, the clock is ticking. I'm ready to tax all your people at that point. And so we want to start educating individuals on how to really build that legacy, both on, and it goes back to what Kwesi said, understanding that business and personal really do come together, but on paper, you need to be able to separate those two and have those key opportunities set in place from a business component on that asset and how to protect that, how to understand you are the biggest asset that your family has, and then how to create that legacy on a personal side as well.
Yeah, awesome. Legacy, I think, is a huge thing that I think is important to a lot of us in the community. We talk about it a lot. And you're right. One of the things that I mentioned already was the idea of a family office. I didn't really fully understand its importance. But Kwesi, why don't you talk a little bit about how your business helps families and businesses build legacy?
Yeah, so Nelson, a few years back, I decided to take a look at how people are able to create and preserve their legacy, from a wealth standpoint. I think legacy in general is sort of this intangible, ephemeral thing. It's a collection of things that are important to you that you want to make sure that you leave and impart to the world. But through that process, we looked at what the ultra high net worth have been doing for generations. And so here's what they do. Instead of having a separate CPA that they go talk to get tax advice, a separate asset protection attorney, a separate financial advisor, insurance guy, what they'll do is they'll consolidate all that expertise in-house. They'll set up an entity called the family office. And that family office's sole purpose is to grow and preserve the wealth, typically of that one family. Now, normally it's an ultra high net worth. I'm talking $100 million in liquid investable assets or $50 million estate value. But the point is that they are able to streamline all that capability, all of that expertise, so you're not getting contradictory advice. And the best analogy that I can think of for those of us that aren't in that ultra high net worth space yet is the healthcare industry. All these large HMOs have now transitioned to a model where your primary care physician is really the quarterback of your care. Yes, they have an internal team. Yes, they can diagnose and treat certain conditions, but if something major comes up that you may be overlooking, well, that's when they bring in the cardiologist or the gastroenterologist or the pulmonologist. And but their role is to make sure that you might end up with a prescription from the GI doc or the heart doctor, but you want to make sure that there are no contraindications, and that's the role of the primary care physician. It's very similar to how, at least conceptually, how a family office is organized, and that's exactly what we do across all areas. Tax planning, legal and asset protection, business advisory for those of you that own a company, wealth management, insurance and risk management, estate planning, all that lives under one umbrella, so that all the experts are playing off the same sheet of music for your benefit. What that does is it helps accelerate the process for getting to that point where you do become ultra high net worth. Where typically our clients aren't, are affluent, but they're not ultra high net worth. But we help them get to that point a lot sooner because we've built the efficiencies already in-house with the family office concept.
Awesome. Yeah, that's some insight that I wasn't aware of. And in my conversations with you, most people think that having a family office is, like you said, for the super duper wealthy, 100 million. Is that typically the case?
Well, it's starting to change, Nelson, and the reason is because of technology, because of the ability to outsource. I mean, we have world-class experts. I mean, there's, I'm not a CPA. I'm not giving any tax advice, but especially those of you that are in the real estate field, one of the ways to increase your cash flow is change the way you depreciate your assets, right? So you can change your depreciation expense, something called cost segregation. Out of the 90,000 CPA firms that are in the country that know what cost segregation is, very few of them actually help their clients implement it. But there are probably 50 certified cost segregation specialists in the country. We've got one of those guys as part of our team. We don't W-2 them. We bring them in when there's a specific need that our clients have. But traditionally, Nelson, it's $50 million net worth in the past before you would even think of a family office. But because of technology, because of outsourcing, we can bring that same process and structure to our clients now. And we pass the savings on to them because we run a lot leaner.
Awesome. And you mentioned one thing that I think we're all interested in. I think we've all tried our hand at it. It's one of the main ways that families find their way into wealth. That's real estate. So Nancy, I wanted you to talk a little bit about how you're using your company to help, and real estate to help individuals and companies build wealth and legacy.
Just like Kwasi and Brandy said, it is education and it's that collaboration. Because if you're going to really create wealth and hold on to it, you have to have all the players in line. You have to have your financial planner. You have to have your CPA. You have to have your asset protection. You have to have your estate planner to tell you how to take title of properties, to protect you from probate, to protect you from taxes. You have to have all of this. So it comes down to education. My company, Nancy Alert and Associates, what we do is we teach everyone. We not only teach them, we show you how you can do this, how you can create the wealth, and we provide you with the assets of the individuals that can show you also how to keep it, like the CPAs and the estate planners and those individuals, and insurance, because as Brandy said, a lot of people think when they think of insurance, they think of death benefit. That's all they think of. But there's so many others. And in the real estate space, you learn about real estate, mortgage protection, how that is going to protect your home, protect your loved one. If one passes, you still maintain your home. So it comes down to the bottom of it, education. So I teach everyone how you can acquire multi-units with no money down, because you don't have to have the 50 million yet. Quasi, we're gonna wait and we're gonna come to you with that 50 million later. I'm gonna build them up to that 50 million so that they can then go to that next level. But for right now, if you're now starting, you can own a multi-unit, you can own a 4-unit, you can own an 8-unit with very low or no money down at all. A 4-unit, 0 money down, right? 4-unit, you can live in one and rent the other 3. You're a veteran, you can buy a 4-unit with a VA, no money down, no closing costs paid. It is easy. People just think of multi-units and they think it's, oh my God, it's just so much, but it's easier to buy a multi-unit, true facts, than to buy a single family home. It really is easier to buy a multi-unit. You buy that 4-unit and you never ever for the rest of your life have to think about paying a mortgage, paying rent. You have 3 other people paying your rent for you. And just think about it. I don't want to be a landlord. Then you can have somebody manage it. But here's the thing. If you buy one house, right, and you have that as an investment, that's good. I'd rather you have one house than not do anything at all, right? So you have one house versus a 4-unit. When you decide, oh, I want to raise the rent, you raise the rent $50 on that one house, you get $50. Then you times that by 12, that's what you get a year. You have a 4-unit or you have a 32 units, because I think 32 is the optimum number you should have. You have a 32 unit or a 4-unit, and you raise the rent $50 each unit, right? Times that by 12. And that's the additional money you can make every year, every other year, in addition to what you're already making by owning that 4-unit. And guess what? It doesn't go anywhere. Land is not, you can't destroy it. If the house burned down, guess what? You have insurance, you rebuild it, now you have a new asset, right? And now you have a new equity in it. So the education comes first. And that's what we all can do right here, teach you how to get to where you want to get to. And for multi-units is where to go if you're going to get real estate for investing.
Yeah, we're talking about is scaling right there. That's important, is the ability to scale. So Will, one of the things the first time I've really kind of imprinted in my mental DNA was this idea was legacy, was hearing you. I mean, the name of your company is Fed Legacy. Would you talk to us a little bit about how you are helping, and you and your company help individuals build legacy? Just so you know,
Will, you're on mute.
Yeah, we're not hearing you. There you go.
Yeah, thanks, Nelson. So what I was saying is our company is focused on the middle class, right? And helping the Black middle class go from just barely making it to creating wealth, so that then we can their next generation can be talking to someone like Kwesi, right? I mean, and so what we do is we go in and we say, all right, here's exactly how you need to set up your retirement plan, right? And we walk them through that step by step, right? And it's funny because one of the things that I noticed, that everybody on our team notices, is that people want to build legacy or begin to build legacy. A lot of times they just don't have the proper education. And so what we do is we make sure that everything is in the language that our people understand. We make sure they can know and trust the process of building wealth. Because a lot of times people are just afraid of the idea of building wealth for themselves. It's a crazy mindset, but that's one of the things I've noticed in the middle class. And so what we're doing there is we're changing that mindset, making sure the information is easily accessible. And then we're giving them those tools so they can build generational wealth for their families. And so that's how we do it, Nelson.
Awesome. I'm gonna stay with you for a little bit. I look at you as somebody who has a lot of experience in business. As long as I've known you, you've been an entrepreneur. You've worked with small businesses. You work with small businesses on a day-to-day basis. And as you come across small businesses, what do you think is one key thing that a lot of small business owners are overlooking as they try to grow their business and build wealth? What's one thing you think that they may be overlooking, or you see typically that business owners are overlooking?
And when you say small business, you're talking about like the 1s and 2 shop. A lot of times that we're dealing with the chamber. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like most of those, I think those are the most people that we're going to find in our audience is that they're either in the idea phase, they want to have a business, or they may have 1, 2, 3 employee, 3 contractors, but they need to get to that next level. What's one thing you think they're usually overlooking?
They overlook one of the things they overlook is marketing, and just that investment. I know I did for a long time, because when you spend money on marketing, the money doesn't come back right away, right? And so you gotta invest in that. But when you get good at it, you can really scale your company. What I noticed with a lot of small business owners is they work their network, they do well, but they never, they do okay, right? But they never really take that time to invest in a solid branding and marketing strategy. Again, because the dollar doesn't come back right away, but when you do, you will grow your company. That's one thing. Another thing that I realize that a lot of small business owners don't do is they just don't study other CEOs, and they're studying the scaling process. And so what they do is they get used to making a little bit of money, and it's okay, until they really start to open up their book to somebody like a solid CPA that's going to tell them like, hey, you're either not paying yourself enough, right? And every year you think you're taking a loss, you think you're robbing Uncle Sam, but you're really robbing yourself, because you'll never be able to grow your company until you can pay yourself, number one, a solid salary and it makes sense, and then beginning to add on other employees. So I think most companies, again, they skip the marketing phase, and then they skip the phase of really understanding how to scale their company and started with paying themselves a solid salary and still having money in the company.
Thanks. Brandy, what about you? What's something, as you see small business owners that they think that maybe some of the ones in our audience that they may be even overlooking when it comes to building a business?
I think many business owners think I have to be at a certain place before I go talk to a financial advisor, such as the ones on this call and myself, right? I think they think, oh, well, I don't have to worry about planning, from a trust or an estate side until I, made several $1,000s, right? No, you need to be having those candid conversations from the beginning. You need to be talking to a bookkeeper, an accountant. You need to be talking about to your life insurance person, to your benefits person, understanding what's out here that from a government perspective that your business can utilize from the beginning, because you started this business for a reason. You felt it was going to be successful. You felt that it was going to scale. So don't wait until you already have the assets in place to try to figure out how to cover all of it. Start at the foundation. So therefore, okay, I can start here, then I need to grow to this. I got a 6-month plan, a year plan, 2-year plan, and let people walk through the journey with you. I think so many times we try to do it on our own because we think it's going to be costly. And sometimes that backfires on us. So we need to start planning immediately because tomorrow's not promised to us.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. I think that's what I see a lot in our community are people either afraid to just get started and jump in there and do it, or once they get started to kind of take that next step, as you talked about it, and start doing the planning that's necessary. Nancy, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what you think you typically see when business owners are maybe overlooking some of the people, like I said, that are probably listening, looking for advice on how to get to the next level in business? What are some things that you think they overlook?
There's a couple of things that I think business owners, from what I've seen through the years, that totally overlook. And I say it all the time. They definitely overlook the necessity for them to have an attorney and a CPA at the beginning of starting their business.
I agree.
And I always say, it's either you're going to have one attorney when you start the business, or you might need 5 later on to fix the mess you created without hiring that one attorney at the beginning. It is so necessary for you. It is so necessary for you to hire an attorney when you're starting your business. Make sure your agreements are correct. I can attest to not having the right agreements in place with business partners and how it can go left. You need an attorney at the beginning. You need a CPA to set you up right, how you're going to be paying yourself, whether you are S Corp or whether you're LLC, whether you need those information up front so you can set the business up to succeed, not to fail. And I think the other thing a lot of businesses overlook because they think it's a lot of trouble and it's not going to be for me, only some people get it, is the access to money that they have at the state and county level. There is a lot of money available for small businesses, and you can go get it in your state. In the state of Maryland, in Prince George's County, I know for a fact there's a lot of money available to you as a small business owner. If you're hiring people in Prince George's County, I can attest I did get some money as well. So make sure you reach out to, you voted them in office, to all the people, the constituent, the legislative, the executives, all of those people that you voted for yesterday. Reach out to them, ask them, where can I go? Where can I get some money? Do a Google search, right? Or call Nancy, call Brandy, call Quasi, call us, any of us, and we'll be able to provide you with that information. But do not fall asleep on that, because there's a lot of money available to you as a small business owner.
I like that a lot, Nancy. I think in my experience with business, the important things of having a CPA and an attorney up front, why that's important is because for me, I realize is that you want to get a deal done. The quickest way to get it done is to have attorney in place, right? Have someone in place that is going to be able to help you get that deal done, move it through, and also watch your back. And then a CPA is going to let you know, are you making money, right? And how do you continue to make money? And also how to make sure you're in good graces with Uncle Sam. Kwesi, I know you see and come across a lot of business owners in your profession. Help share with us one of the main things that you think you typically see business owners, small business owners that in fact are overlooking when they're trying to grow and scale and grow their business.
Yeah, thanks, Nelson. A couple of points. One, sort of along the lines of what Nancy and Will and Brandy have said. At the end of the day, look, business is a team sport. I think most of us start companies because we feel that we can do something better, right? Whatever it is, that if we were the ones in control, that things would get done the way that we would like to. So there's a certain amount of ego involved. I mean, you're not going to get up and stick your neck out there to create something real from nothing if you don't have a solid ego. But along the way, you might be God's gift to widgets or making widgets. But at the end of the day, there's a lot that goes in. There's a lot involved in getting those widgets out to the marketplace, right? Every company needs sales and marketing, systems and automation, cash flow management, and human capital management. And if you're not an expert in all those areas, even if you are, it's not the best use of your time to try to do all those things by yourself, right? So business is a team sport. Get all the support that you need. And the one other thing, Nelson, I would say is risk management. Having come from that background, especially as you move along the path and you start earning higher amounts of revenue, higher amounts of profit, you want to look at some other structures where, I'll just give a quick example. You have the ability as a business owner to set up your own privately held commercial insurance company. Right? We don't have time, obviously, to go into those details, but what that does is it puts you in a position to handle the next pandemic, right? Whatever it is, it may not be a pandemic. The point is that make sure that you put the processes in place, the structures and the strategies in place to protect what you've built, right? And there's a whole host of ways to do that. But get the business going, get all the help that you need, but then along the way, make sure you do what you need to do to protect it.
Yeah, awesome. That's great advice. That's great advice. One of the things I heard you say, Kwesi, I'm gonna stay with you for a little bit and just ask you this question, because I heard you mention in your experience the Great Recession, as they call it, in 2008, 2009. And we know right now we're in recession territory. We're in a recession right now. And there's high inflation and all these things that are affecting the economy. Help us understand and give us your insight into, the importance, because we're talking about wealth management, of the importance of wealth management during a time like now, and what others should be doing in regards to wealth management in a time like now.
There's two things, and I'm sure Brandon and I know each other pretty decently well, and Mark, Will, and some of the stuff that he's doing, and some of the other advisors on the call. Moving into an environment like we're in right now, and I'm not giving any advice. I'm just some observations. If you can put the wealth that you're trying to capture and extract from the business, if you can find a way to protect some of that while you still get growth, meaning that you're minimizing market exposure, that'll help along the way. The other thing that is equally as scary when it comes to preserving wealth as we move into a recessionary environment is taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of us, especially in our community, don't realize that even if you're not outwardly charitably inclined, that we like to give to a charity every year, and that charity has an acronym. The initials are IRS, right? and so if you could find a way to minimize the IRS's impact on your earnings as a company or at the individual level, that starts to put you much farther ahead. Look, there is a way, believe it or not, to have a completely tax-free business. I don't mean a nonprofit. I mean a tax-free company. Now, it requires that you hit certain benchmarks along the way. But imagine what you could do if you could redirect 35% more of your earnings back into the business, right? It's a huge difference. So that's what I would recommend in this environment. Look at ways to minimize your earnings, their exposure to market loss, and then try to minimize the taxes as much as possible.
That's a great advice. Great advice. Brandy, what about you? I know you as well, you work with a lot of business owners, and this could be a scary, confusing time for a lot of people. Again, this is not, stock advice or anything like that. So just from your insight and your observation, what are some advice that you would give that us business owners or those planning to be business owners, what's something that they could do in a time like now where there's recessionary, there's a lot of inflation? What are some things that they should be considering to do in regards to their personal and business and protecting their wealth?
As Kwesi said, we do walk in very similar circles, so we have a very similar mindset. And so, we're always trying to help our clients understand how they can minimize their contributions to the most annoying uncle ever. So not only minimizing, but leveraging, right? So there are opportunities out here where you have the ability to partner up with banks with no bank state loans or anything in that aspect to leverage your dollars. So if if you're looking to say, what, I've done all I can to mitigate and to minimize my taxable opportunities, but how do I still make my money grow? There are opportunities out here that you could, put money away where you put $1 away, the bank could potentially match you $3. And I think leverage. So minimizing and leveraging are the main opportunities that a business owner, heck, any individual right now needs to be thinking about. With the dollar now being, the same as the euro, with us being at 9.1% on inflation. And I just saw something the other day that there was that bread is going up astronomically. Food is going up in major ways. And so we're trying to figure out how can we catch up with this, because it doesn't seem as though the bleeding is going to stop anytime soon. So if you can minimize what you're giving out and then maximize the dollars that you do have in your pocket, I think we have a great opportunity of withstanding this period of time that's happening.
That's awesome advice. I think I'm fortunate I started my professional career. I graduated college in 2006. started my first job at my auditing firm, and I didn't have enough. I wasn't working long enough to have enough money to be able to invest and, talk about some of the things we're talking about right now. But one of the things that I was able to see was the Great Recession, right? And the thing is, I realized is that I missed a lot of opportunity in that Great Recession because, one, I didn't have access to cash, right? I didn't have, my credit wasn't where it was to be able to be to like you mentioned, leverage. So it offered me a great opportunity to know that the next recession is coming. Because one of the things I'm realizing is that a lot of people on that bull market, when they were rising to the top, a lot of people were interested in investing, and they don't realize that it's a business cycle. So there's always going to be a recession. It's going to hit bottom and then it's going to climb back up. So I think the best thing we could do is put ourselves in a position to take advantage of the opportunities. And now is not the time where you give up on your goal. I think now is the time where you just have to be more aware, develop your skills, and look for the opportunities. Like you said, look to how can you keep more money away from our uncle, our uncle always has in his pocket, and getting with a financial advisor, a wealth manager. One of the people that we have on our panelists is the best thing that you could do to find out where the strategies may lie. Nancy, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about from a real estate perspective. There's a lot, every time you turn on the TV, we're talking about inflation, gas prices. We're talking about, the markets tumbling. What can you give us some insight as far as from a real estate perspective? What should people be thinking about right now in this type of economic environment? What should they be thinking about as far as real estate is concerned?
What I'd like people to think about is, think about in the past, how many millionaires, billionaires were born out of recessions, right? How many people became millionaire, multimillionaire, and billionaires? Here's the thing. Yeah, we're in a recession, inflation, we have this, prices are high, gas is high, everything is high. But you have money and you're still going out and buying your BMWs, and you're still going out and buying your Jordans, and you're still going out and buying that big mega mansion that you really don't even need because it's just two of you and you don't need 10,000 square foot. But anyway, my suggestion is, think about what's going on right now. Whatever little money you have, you should be putting it towards maybe you contact Brandy and you talk about annuities. You talk about how I can make a lot of money, not lose my money in any market. You do something like that. Remember, insurance is not just for death benefit. It's for you to live that optimum, perfect life you were born to live, right? And then you're like, well, okay, maybe I don't want to do that. This is the perfect time. And yes, I am a realtor, so it's always a perfect time to buy real estate. But this is truly, and here's why, this is a perfect time to buy a 4-unit. I know, I'm a broken record. You buy that because rents are higher. They're high right now, right? Because people are slowing down on buying. The rents are higher. And I guarantee you that if you have a 4-unit, a multi-unit, I'm just saying 4, you could be how many ever units, right? You have a multi-unit in a market where rents are going higher, they're not going to be coming down, right? It might stabilize, but they're not going to be coming down. They're going up, they're going up. You're always going to be getting rent. Again, remember I said at the beginning, you're not going to lose that asset. That asset is always going to be there as long as you maintain it, right? As long as you do the repairs, it is always going to be there. So if you buy a multi-unit now, you might get it at a lower price than you would get it last 6 months ago, and you're able to keep it into generations to come. Right now, consider where to put all that money. You do not need a 10,000 square foot home, but you do need a multi-unit. You do need a multi-unit. You do need to buy some type of annuity, some type of insurance that can pay you back money. You need to sit down with a group of financial planners, estate planners, CPAs, and ask them, what is the best road for me to take right now? Here's what I have. Show me, point me in the direction where I should go so I can start creating some wealth right now. This is the perfect time start.
Agree. I agree. All right. So I wanted to take a break real quick. We got a little bit more time, but real quick, I just wanted to, we have another poll. Hopefully we could just get some feedback from you guys on poll. Melissa, you're going to have to put this up for me. I wanted to know what was everyone's intentions when they were coming in here. We want to make sure that our content and the webinars that we're providing are meeting the needs of our audience. So just wanted to get a feedback that what did you hope to get from this event, right? So Melissa, if you could go ahead and you could put up poll number 2 for us. What did you hope to get from this event? Are you guys seeing that? Let me know, give a thumbs up if you guys are seeing that poll. Is it showing up? You guys seeing it?
Yeah.
All right. There we go. Okay, we're seeing the poll. So go ahead and respond to that poll. I won't be able to share the results with you. I think we have some technical difficulties on that, but it's going to help us as we develop our content and know what our audience is looking for. It's going to give us some value feedback to make sure that we're meeting you guys' needs. All right, awesome. You guys, the speakers have been great. Again, and I want to get the speakers ready. So I'm sure everyone's loving what we're talking about, but we need to know how we could connect with you guys. So when you guys get a chance, I want you to put whether it's your LinkedIn, your email, whatever you feel like the best way for people is to get in contact with you directly. If they have any questions or would like to speak more about how they can, partner with you and use your services, we want to be able to provide that for everyone. Okay, as we begin to wind down, I did have the question I've been looking forward to hearing from everyone. I'm all about action items, right? What is the next step? People are on this call, and they're excited about what they're hearing, and they want to know what's the next step. So I wanted to find out from our panelists their opinion and what are the exact things that they can do to start building wealth and protecting their wealth right now. What are some of the things that our guests can do to build and protect their wealth right this instance? Let me start with Brandy. Why don't you tell us something that you believe that our guests can do just right now to start building and protecting the wealth that they have right now?
Well, if they are not a business owner, if you came on here today and you were on the fence, I tell you it's time to push go. Because having a business opens you up to so many more potential taxable advantages that you're able then to leverage, right? So if you're on the fence, it's time to hop off and continue to roll. And then on top of that, if you are a current business owner, I say sitting down with someone. If you haven't sat down with a person like one of us on this call this year, take that opportunity to just sit down and to see, because we are at like the midpoint of the year. A lot can change for a person in this time frame. So helping you get back on that trajectory is what you need to do.
Thanks, Brandy. So next, I'm going to ask Will, what's an action item that our guests can take right now to start building wealth? And if they already have wealth, preserve wealth. What's an action step you believe that they could take right now? You still here with us, Will? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I said I'm following almost exactly in Brandy's footsteps on this one, because if you're on this call and you're, on the fence about starting a business, especially in a recession, as the story's been documented time and time again, a lot of millionaires come out of recessions. So now's a perfect time to start that business. You see, we got a chamber that we create resources like calls like this, and then many other calls that we do, meetups in person that we do to support you as a business owner in the state of Maryland. So if you're on the fence, now's a good time to start that business, to begin to build wealth, because that's the fastest way to build wealth is build a business. And then number two, if you're a business owner and you got a little bit of assets and you're trying to protect those assets and build them, like Kwesi and Brandy was saying earlier, The market, you want to still have some growth, but there are other products out there that can give you that growth, but also eliminate that downside for you. So you should probably reach out to one of us and we can help expose you to some of those things so that you can start to build wealth that way as a business owner.
Thanks, Will. That's awesome advice. Just to share with everyone, the Chamber is a great resource because what you do is you have an ecosystem and network of business owners, people who have businesses. So you have an opportunity right there to make connections with other individuals and identify opportunities to get customers, to get partners, to get advice, to get mentoring. So and key advice is to join it. And even if it's not this chamber, I'm a part of multiple chambers, to be honest with you. But if you're looking for a community of like-minded individuals who look and have the same aligned interests, I think the chamber is a good place to start. So thanks for that tip, Will. Kwesi, what are some action items you think that our guests can take right now?
So 3 quick things. One is take some time to reflect on what you're trying to accomplish as a business owner. We're halfway through the year, like Randy said. If it's just a day over the weekend or the entire weekend, just think through what it is you're trying to accomplish. 2, educate yourselves. Like I said, I was an engineer. I knew nothing about financial services or how to grow and preserve wealth, but I went through a process of self-discovery and just education to help make sure that I understood what was going on. And then 3, get a team, right? If you walk into your doctor's office and you say, "Hey, doc, my arm hurts," and the doctor says, "Well, we just need to amputate. Let's get rid of it so that arm will never bother you ever again." That might not be the solution. You might want to make sure that you've got a well-rounded team of experts and specialists that can get the full picture of what's going on before you make some decisions, especially with something as important as growing and preserving your wealth. So that's it.
Thanks for that, Kwesi. I think that's key. I think most people really overlook. I think that's one thing that's not talked about enough is collaboration. We talked about that, but building a team of people around you to support. I think, you can't do it all. I mean, this is really, if you're talking about starting a business, it's literally a marathon. You cannot do it all by yourself. You need people, professionals around you who can help support your vision and your dream. And there's a wealth of resources of people actually who want to do it. I wouldn't say for free, but at a heavily discounted price. And there are some also, if capital is a restriction, there are also resources out there to help you to get the answers and the advice and the support that you need. So that's key advice. Nancy, what's some action items that our guests can take right now that could help them?
What I would say is put a professional team together. Get a board of directors, get a group of successful individuals and ask them to be on your board so they can give you advice on how to move forward. Invest. You will never save your way to wealth. You can only get to the wealth if you invest. You cannot save it in the bank. You're not getting enough interest rate. Excuse me. And the last thing, start. You have to start. You have to do something. You have to decide whatever it is, whether I'm going to pick the team, I'm going to invest, I'm just going to get an attorney. Start. Just start.
That is great advice. There's a lot of power in just being bold and just going out there and doing it. There's a lot of power in that. So I love that advice. Okay, we want to make this as interactive as possible. We got some, I'm gonna look, I don't know if there was any questions, but I don't know if we see any questions in the chat, but I want to know if anybody that has a question, why don't you go ahead, and if you can go ahead and do a reaction and raise your hand, and we're going to take one question from the audience, and then other ones, we're going to take the rest from the comment section. If you could put in your question. Does anyone have any questions they want to ask for our panelists? And again, while we'll do that, while we're waiting for that, again, joining the chamber, I think is one of the best things you could do right now. We are having a networking event. We're having a networking event this afternoon at the National Harbor. Let me go ahead and share that flyer again, so we all could get a look at that. If you haven't got a chance to register. Also, if you go to our Eventbrite, which is this same scan right here for today's event, we have some upcoming ones. We have another Summer Learn series on August 17th, where we'll be talking about scaling and preserving your business, right? How to use process with same things we're talking about right here. You may be in a business already, but how do you get that business to the next level, right? How do you grow that business and grow it to the next level using the financial services industry professional? Let's go to our summer networking event series. Again, this is going to be tonight. I think this is a good event. If you're interested in joining the chamber, just learning more about the chamber, meeting some of the board members, some of our other members, some of our panelists, this is just a good opportunity to network. You know, if you're thinking of on the fence of starting a business, or you're looking to grow your business, this is the perfect ecosystem that you would want to plug into. So again, you can just use your phone if it has a QR camera to scan this QR code, or just go to https summerseriesnetwork.eventbrite.com. All right, let's take a look at the. All right, looks like we don't have any questions.
Oh, it's questions in there.
Excuse me,
Are
I raised my hand. It's actually.
Oh,
up.
I'm sorry. I didn't see that. Somebody was reading the questions behind me. But who's that raised their hand? Let me see if I can go ahead and find you. I apologize.
No worries. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Azania Hayward James. I'm not yet a member of the chamber, but I've been on one session before, and I'm super excited about changing my membership status. Today was an amazing presentation, so thanks to all of the presenters on the amazing information that you shared. I'm so excited. I'm like, where do I start first? Who do I talk to? I actually put some requests to some of you who have spoken today. My question is this. One of the things I wanted to know, just in terms of interacting with any of you, like, do you do group sessions? Because I am kind of new to this DC area. I came from Atlanta about 6 years. 6 years ago, I was a former federal civil servant up until just before the pandemic. And now I launched a business, the Cornerstone Collective 2020 Endowment Consultants, about 2 years ago. So left the government in March, started the business in May. Most of my work is done out of Atlanta. So I have a group of women, other business women, African-American, throughout the diaspora, intergenerational, and do you do group sessions? Because when I get on everything to learn, because I'm that type of person, I want to know every day as I develop my business, and I share it with them, but sometimes they need to see this firsthand so that they can grow too, because I'm on a fast pace. Everything that you all have said, I co-sign on, but I consider myself a newbie, although I am a generational business owner because both my parents always had businesses, and I'm originally from Boston.
Thank you for that question. So one, we're going to be doing a series of these events over the next, we have 2 more events for the summer, and then headed into the wintertime, we're going to be doing a series of events. They're going to be a little bit more detailed, so we're going to be narrowing on topics. This is very general to get a feel for what, the interests are, and just trying to find out what our audience is really looking for, but we're going to narrow down the topics. So that's the first thing I would say. At least subscribe to our newsletter so you're up to date on what the chamber is doing and what the events. As far as group sessions where we all come together, I just checked. We have a new member orientation coming up. I believe that's on. Let me get the date for you right now.
It's next week.
Next week. Specifically, that date is.
It's the 26th.
The 26th. July 26th, we're going to be having a new member orientation. That's a perfect time to just come in, meet some of our members, talk with maybe some of our presenters that'll be here, and sit down with them one-on-one. I don't know if anybody else, if any of you guys in your specific orientation does training, individual trainings, and do group sessions for individuals. Do you guys want to go ahead and talk about what your organizations do? Nancy, I know you do some trainings. I know you do some educational. Do you want to talk about the educational?
Yes, I do training. I do group training and I do individual training on wealth building through real estate. I do one-on-one real estate investing 101, teaching individuals or groups. So definitely a group of 5 or more, or one-on-one to learn how to start investing with multi-units, and whether you want to do it right here in your area or do it elsewhere. And just a little bit of information, you don't always have to purchase your investment property where you live, because where you live, you might be priced out, but there are other locations in the United States or around the globe that would present a better opportunity for you. But yeah, group and individual training.
Yeah, so Ms. Nancy, definitely want to talk to you regarding that.
Okay.
Okay, awesome.
I'm sorry, who was speaking?
I'm the person who asked the question, Azania Hayward James.
Okay.
Collective 2020.
All right, awesome. Thank you for that, Azani. And this is some of the things that, this is what we look for in the chamber, is the way to really talk with our members, talk with the community, to create an ecosystem where we can kind of touch each other and build an ecosystem where, you get access to the resources that you need. I see in here, is there a cost to a membership? Yes, there is a cost to the membership. I don't have it on top of my head right now, but if you go to join, and also based on the size of your organization. So if you're just a one-man shop, it's going to be a different price than if you have 10 or 100 employees. For those people that are part of an organization, so let's say you maybe work for a large organization like a Bank of America, and you don't have to get a membership for the entire Bank of America. We do also have individual memberships for individual members, individual employees who are part of an organization. So we just put the link in there for marylandbcc.org/join. So if you can look at that link. Is there any way I could pin this? Can I pin this comment? I'll copy it and put it in there for everyone again. Oh, I didn't think we had any questions. I guess I wasn't keeping up with the chat. Everybody's been lively in the chat. So I thank everybody for participating. How are we doing on time? I'll take one more question. If there's one more question in the audience, we could take one more question. If anyone has a question, feel free to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
There was a question about multi-units. How much does it cost to go to multi-unit? Somebody asked that question.
Oh, I responded in the chat, however. So if you are interested in purchasing a multi-unit, let's say 4 units, and you're deciding that you want to live there, so you live in 1 and you rent 3, just remember that the 3 units that you'll be renting, the rents for that is used as your income, so you can qualify for a higher priced unit. So let's say you can qualify for a $500,000 property. You can qualify for about $1 million in a multi-unit, because the income from the units is what will be used to take you up to that level. And if you're buying it as an owner occupant in one of the unit, you can get in for as little as no money down or 3.5%.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Introduce yourself to our member, to the group, and you can go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, this is Dr. Marvin Perry, CEO of Professional Consultant Group and Associates, and also an educator, financial person as well. My question is about financial wealth and generational wealth, and what is the difference between what Caucasians have been able to do over the last 30 years compared to what we do or what we haven't done? I yield back.
Okay. One thing I know is that me personally, I've looked into this, is the way they're able to scale and grow their business. I think the stat is that if every white-owned business sold off all their assets and they had to pay every white American in the country a salary, they will be able to pay every white American family, I think the salary was around $80,000 a year. If every Black person, if we took all the Black-owned businesses and consolidated and sold all the assets, and we had to pay a salary to the Black community, we would only be able to pay them $8,000 a year. So I think the key to that is that we have to be able to grow our businesses. We have to be able to scale our businesses. Get out of the 1-2 employee mindset and think of how can we scale and grow our businesses. I'll be interested to hear what some of our other guests have to say, what they feel like, and what they're seeing is the differences between creating wealth in the Black community versus the other communities.
Education and the lack of an open-mindedness is can be part of you not getting to that level. You have to, so people say all the time, don't hate the player, hate the game. But I said, no, don't hate the player, learn the rules of the game. Because if you know the rules of the game, you too can become a millionaire. You too can make a lot of money and not pay taxes because you've learned. You got the right CPA to teach you what you need to do so that you don't have to pay a lot of taxes too. You just have to learn the rules of the game and be willing to do the hard work and get it done.
Brandy, thanks, Nancy. Brandy, what were you going to say?
I want to hop in here with Nancy and everybody else. So the quick story, this past weekend, we were trying to figure out some things to do with my little one. We only had my son this weekend. So we went over to Alexandria. We went and toured the Carlisle House in Alexandria, Virginia. And it was one of the biggest eye openers recently because the Carlisle House was one of the first houses built in Alexandria when it first came over here. And he had the pick of the land, right? They were lots that were already put out there on a schematics by George Washington, and he came over from Scotland and got the pick of the litter, and they had conversations and things like that. And then lo and behold, we got to the basement of the house and it showed that he owned 9 slaves and the amount of money that each slave cost, right? It was pennies on the dollar, and they were a part of the assets that were given once he passed away. We have to realize that. And then when we went upstairs to the top room, and the slaves that had built the house weren't able to learn how to read and write, so they had to put markings on the wood so they could understand that this piece of wood goes with this one to build this house that's still standing hundreds of years later. So I say this story to tell you that we have to realize that we have to open our mind to understand we've never been able to have these types of conversations we're having today. And it has been a very short time frame in which we've been allowed to have these types of conversations that we've had today. So if we don't start collaborating, if we don't start making sure that we all grow together, it's never going to be what it could potentially be, right? So we've got to start having that conversation with Nancy and be like, listen, I may not have all the money, but if the 3 of us come together, can we buy this multi-unit, right? If we go over here and be like, you know what, Will, you in this space, Kwesi, you in this space, Brandy, you in space, Nelson, you in the space, how can we all come together and make it what we need to be? I promise you, when I left out of that house, there may not have been air conditioning, but I was hot as I don't know what, because I was just like in my feelings, because it now just gave me a new meaning of what we have to do as a people. And we got to cut all the other red tape and cut all the shenanigans, just come together and build in a massive way. That's my
awesome.
Awesome. If you don't mind, I'll jump in. Marvin, great question. And it's probably a whole nother webinar, right? But I will say this is that, wealth is a dinner table conversation for the most part, meaning that families talk about it across a kitchen table, dinner table. And if you don't come from that, it's very hard to even understand or conceptualize what you should be having a conversation about. So the biggest playing field leveler, I should say, is education. I am voracious when it comes to learning. Anything finance, I am on top of it. I'm a self-professed finance geek. And I'll fly that flag as high as I need to. Don't be ashamed to go after information. Don't be ashamed to want to succeed. Don't be ashamed to want to be intelligent, right? Go after it, because without that, we're left in the dust. And then, like Brandy was saying, so many others, it's a team sport. Let's work together. Rising tide raises all ships. And without each other, we're not going to get, not one single one of us is going to get to where we want to go.
That's awesome. Will, what do you think? What have you seen? I know you have, you've been exposed to a lot of different demographics through your customer base and through your business. What are you seeing that you're seeing on one side of the coin? You talked a little bit about this being at Maryland, but what do you see one side doing that we're not doing?
Working together, man. And just, I mean, I've just seen so many deals be done. I mean, I can give you a story. One of my mentors, worth over $200 million, super rich guy. And so when the George Floyd situation came down, he invited me to his house and he was like, look, man, I want to be able to, help you grow your business. And so he was in the process of building another business, and he had bought that business for $150 million. And he was in the second year of having that business. And so he was just like, the HR contract, it came up. And he was like, man, I was just getting ready to give it to a friend of mine who recommended another guy. But, I thought of you. And he was like, I just thought, that's how we just keep passing on wealth, by just giving business just based on a recommendation, and the referral was going to change the other guy's life. And he's just like, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly how it happens. But a lot of times Black folks, we're just not in those conversations. You know what I mean? It's not that we're not qualified. We just don't have the access to people like that can give us a referral that could change our life.
That's awesome. Thank you for that question. That's an awesome question. So yeah, I mean, I think one of the key takeaways that I'm taking away from this is, one, collaboration, working together, and two, being around an ecosystem, a community that's going to be able to support our professionals. So I think the chamber is doing a great job of holding that up. I mean, I can't say it enough. I know I've been shamelessly plugging the chamber all the whole time, but I think it's been impactful in all of our lives and our ability to put this together. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank the chamber for putting this together. Again, I want to thank our sponsors. Let me just give all of them a shout out again. I want to give, first and foremost, thank you to Montgomery County for putting up the sponsorship and supporting the chamber. Butler Squared Consulting, Nancy Alert and Associates, Wolf Corp Training Academy, Sandy Spring Bank is another huge supporter that's been supporting the chamber. Fed Legacy, Gold Law Firm, Hudson Benefits Consulting, and I want to thank the agency for helping us put this together. Again, join us tonight. I think you're going to have a great time. Our sponsors are helping support it. So, you want to get a couple free appetizers, a couple of drinks come join us tonight. You can find us on the Eventbrite link. The MBCs, we also have a group on Eventbrite, so you can see all of our events. As for me, I'm Nelson. I'm gonna put my information. If you want to be a part of our financial services committee, again, it's a committee now. It doesn't mean you have to attend 100 meetings, even though we are, to get this together. You don't have to do that, but just to be part of what we're doing, how to stay connected. If you're in the financial services industry, if you want to be a part of the financial service industry, this is a group that we're putting together for our chamber members who are in the financial services industry. Send me a message. There goes my LinkedIn. You can send me a message. I also have a financial services group on LinkedIn that I kind of share all that the chamber is doing around the financial service industry. So thank all of our panelists. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Kwesi, for your hard work and your dedication to getting this to come together. Thank you for our attendees. We'll hope to see you tonight and hope to see you at the rest of our events.
Hey, Nelson, yeah, one raised hand. I'm not sure if Sylvia Rodriguez has a hand raised. I'm not sure if they have a question or not.
Oh,
Yes, I do.
Go ahead, Sylvia. I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Thank you, Ken.
Yes. First of all, I want to thank everybody for the great information. And I would like to know how I can get in touch with Nancy.
Okay, go ahead, Nancy. Why don't you give her, you could go ahead and put your information, just tell her, you can tell her how she can get in touch with you as well.
Hi, okay. You can reach me on my cell, 703-861-7355, 703-861-7355, and info@nancyalert.com.
All right, awesome.
Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone.
No, thank you. Thank you for joining
I'll
us,
see you
Sylvia.
tonight. Okay.
All right, see
bye-bye.
you tonight.
Uh-huh,
All right,
bye-bye.
if there's not anything else, Ken, I don't know if anything else you want to say. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Do you want anything you want to add?
No, great event. Thank you to the panelists. Great information. Look forward to more information to come in the future.
All right, thanks, guys. Thank you
Hey.
for joining us.
Nelson and Will, can you stay on? Will jumped off right away.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's, Melissa, could you, because we're still gonna have attendees in there, everyone's jumping off.
Oh.
No, thank you. Let me stop recording.